David Thomas, the 12th president of Morehouse College.
Amen.
It is an honor to stand here to offer reflections on my experience of Otis Moss Jr. And I am clear that I was told to offer reflections and not be tribute. The staff here managed me very tightly. Every note said, stick to your allowed minutes. And reflect. So I'm going to share reflections on this amazing couple whose connection was born in the struggle for civil rights and black liberation. My reflections focus primarily on Reverend Moss because he is the one in this dynamic pair with whom I have had the most intimate relationship, though he's made it clear to me on numerous occasions that Edwina is the senior managing partner in the Moss enterprise. Now, if I were a poet or a man of letters, I would title this reflection, "What Shall I Call Him?" Who is he? He holds and has earned many titles: Reverend, Doctor, Pastor, Preacher, Chairman, Prophet. When I arrived in Morehouse, people spoke his name in hushed tones. The oratorical contest is named for him. He chaired the board during challenging times. The largest student residence hall is named for him. My ignorance of him made some doubt that they had selected the right president. It did not help me to say, Otis who? Finally, I met him and was struck by his height and gracious greeting. Many of his friends were less than happy that a non-Morehouse man had been selected to lead the college, but he seemed inviting and gracious. It seemed an amazing compliment and even a balm when this revered giant humbly leaned into my ear and said in that voice that we heard earlier, "Mr. President, you are going to be fine. We are praying for you." Now I had to stop for a moment and wonder if the royal we was just me and him. And then I thought, what shall I call him? He became my pastor. I'm trained as a psychologist and a social scientist to observe behavior and interpret personality and position from it. I watched him move about and interact with others. His bearing could only be called regal. Without saying a word, it said, "I am a king. I shall call him king." And then he took the podium and the mic, and in less than 5 minutes, gave what felt like an 11 a.m. Sunday sermon. He roared like a lion. I was mesmerized. What shall I call him? The regal and the roar. I shall call him Lion King. And like the Lion King, his greatest joy is found in watching the pride, his family, his flock grow strong. I saw this when he told me the story of accompanying Otis III abroad and noting that Otis had accompanied him a decade or so earlier, and the young Otis had carried his bags. This trip, he delighted in telling me that he was the bag carrier for Otis. And in that moment I thought, who is he? What shall I call him? He is Daddy. He is Pa, gentle and loving. Most important to me is I can call him a spiritual healer. On multiple occasions, when I have felt wounded or deflated during my time as president, I've called him for counsel and prayer. Indeed, there have even been moments when he was aware that things might be hot and heavy at Morehouse that he called me first. We talked, we prayed. So, Reverend Dr. Pastor Moss, Morehouse man exemplar, Lion King, loving daddy, spiritual healer, I salute you and bring you and Mrs. Moss love from Morehouse College. You are my model for living a life of good work and partnership and remaining steadfast, honest, true.